Oh, howdy all, grab yourselves a beer, it is time for some Path of Exile discussion. Today we got the patch notes for 3.9.2c, which is a patch that's going to be hitting about 12 hours after this video goes online. Now, one of the things that normally wouldn't be the case, these little letter patches usually aren't very significant, but I think this one is. It probably should have actually been called 3.9.3. And there's a lot of quality of life improvements in it, as well as a couple of balance changes that are more patched as bug fixes, but that will improve quite a lot of things. So, firstly, going through them, I'll start with the things down the bottom because they're mostly the smaller things. General improvements. Unique maps can once again be searched by name on the atlas. This is quality of life and a good thing, but not something massive. Divination cards which grant Shaper-related items now have their Shaper background once again. That's really important because those backgrounds look cool. And maps that are influenced by the Shaper or the Elder now have a fancy background or border. That will help them stand out even more, although to be fair, I think they already do stand out quite a bit. Also, there's a pretty significant bug fix where ignites applied by explosive arrow sometimes dealt no damage. I've not played Ignite or Explosive Arrow this league, so I'm not sure how significant that is. I think the main reason people aren't playing that build is because of the Awakener level impact on turning the 90% ailment avoidance into 100% immunity to ailments once you're at Awakener level 4 or higher. And that's just by virtue of scaling that 90% up numerically, ends up completely varling builds that are Ignite based. So Ignite based builds end up unable to comfortably do elemental reflect maps, but also completely unable to do any meaningful damage on maps that have that mod on them. So once you start being allergic to two mods, that starts being a really unpleasant experience. And so this doesn't fix the problem with Explosive Arrow, even if it does end up improving the skill. Fix a bug where volatile dead orbs didn't detonate when reaching the maximum amount allowed. This is actually more significant. So once you hit 60, the idea is that when you hit your 61st volatile dead orb, which won't come up in normal play, but will with certain character setups that are designed to just cast volatile dead as quickly as possible, which is pretty much everyone that plays volatile dead at a high level. The idea is that when your 61st one is created, the first one, so the one that's been around the longest, is meant to explode. At the moment, it just fizzles out and doesn't have its effect. So that means that they end up doing, it does considerably less damage than it's intended to if you're in some unusual situations. And given that pretty much everyone that uses Volatile Dead is using a cast while channeling or a cast on critical strike support, to cast it as quickly as possible, this does actually come up quite a bit when you're clearing maps. So I think this will be a considerable bonus for the damage application of this skill. Fix a bug, fixed a terrain generation failure, which is a crash. Fixed a bug which prevented using the time portal to leave an incursion. I haven't had this bug, but it's really annoying not being able to do that, so it'll be a positive to have that fixed. And then there's a couple of things that happen. Oh, fix a client crash that could occur when getting near party members who are using change of command. Again, annoying and good thing to have fixed, although I haven't noticed it myself. But now the significant stuff, which is the Metamorph and Conqueror's improvements. First up, maps now display their Atlas region by default. This is a massive quality of life improvement. Just being able to look at a map and say, oh, that's in Lyra Arthane. Fantastic. Holding Alt displays map completion, bonus objective completion, and awakening objective completion status. Again, this is just a huge improvement. It lets you much more quickly mouse over a bunch of maps and say, oh, I just looted a crater. You know what? I still haven't done the awakening objective on crater, and this is a max tier crater, so I'm going to go and run it. It means that if you just pick up a bunch of maps while you're running maps, you'll then be able to very quickly assess which ones you want to throw in your stash to maybe run later, and which ones you want to run straight away. Add a frames to the map stash which indicate if a map is influenced by a conqueror. This, again, is something that was an absolute godsend when it was done for the Shaper and the Elder. It's annoying that it's taken, what is it now, something like 40 days into the league before that's happened, but it is a welcome change. Add visual indicators at the center of the atlas which display which conquerors have been defeated. These visual indicators are removed upon opening portals to the Eye of the Storm. Where this will really help is for people who are on the slog from 16 to 32 watchstones, and you want to check, oh, I can't remember have I fought Veritania in this round yet? And, you know, then you realize, oh, okay, yeah, I have. Now you can tell straight away, yes, I have killed Veritania recently. If you're someone that does a Cyrus cycle pretty quickly, this won't mean anything for you. But if you're someone that takes a bit longer to do a Cyrus cycle, maybe splits it over several days, then this is going to be an absolute godsend. And yeah, it's a really simple quality of life thing that will be able to tell you, yes, I can spawn Veritania at the moment, therefore I need to do her in Lyra Arthane, so let's run maps in Lyra Arthane. Or alternately, it'll say, well, I need to spawn Veritania, but I've already done her in Lyra Arthane, or I'm not able to spawn her at the moment, so therefore I have to wait till after the next time I fight Cirrus. Clicking anywhere on a citadel with a non-unique watchstone on your cursor now sockets that watchstone into the appropriate socket if available. This is just one of those things that is really bugging me when I was first playing around with the new Atlas, and will be just very simple quality of life improvement, but a noticeable one. Adjusted the positions of various citadels so that they aren't hidden by UI elements. That was again something that was bugging me, particularly in the top left, Hayward Hamlet I think it is, that's in the top left of the Atlas. That section, that octant, you need to zoom in order to access the watchstones at all. Pain in the ass to then go and sextant it up. That's going to be hugely improved. Opening a map that is affected by multiples of the same or related sextant mods no longer consumes a use of the duplicate sextant mod. This will be really simple, so don't know what's happening here, whether it will prioritize using awakened sextant mods over basically the same but lower tier prime sextants and then over simple sextants, or whether it'll prioritize using the lower one. But whatever's happening, this will be a positive. It means that you can sextant a bit faster now because you won't need to check to make sure they're all different. You'll still be rewarded a little bit if you do, but I think most people will just go, oh yeah, I'll just go to Hayward Hamlet, go sextant 1, 2, 3, 4, and if there's two of them the same, I'll just basically run triple sextant in maps until that end, until you've run through those sextants, and then you roll up new ones after that. The Mark of the Shaper and Mark of the Elder unique rings now grant both bonuses if your other ring is both Shaper and Elder influence. So this is a bit tricky to understand here, that basically I think what this means is that your other ring needs to be dual influence Shaper plus Elder. And then if you do that, then the Mark of the Shaper and Mark of the Elder provide full functionality. So I've just pulled up the Mark of the Shaper here, and you'll see that it says there's a percentage increased spell damage if your other ring is an Elder item, and can't be stunned by spells if your other ring is a Shaper item. Likewise, the alternate version of this, the Mark of the Elder, is pretty similar, but just has different effects. Increased attack damage, and can't be stunned by attacks if your other ring is an Elder item. Now, generally speaking, the mod that is the opposite of the one that you're wearing is better. So if you're wearing Mark of the Elder, you would want to have that alongside the a Shaper ring normally. But being able to have a dual influence ring and get both benefits is a bonus. Something that's of interest, though, here, is that it's currently my understanding that with dual influence items, when there's a test to see if your other ring is a Shaper item, so when there's something about the game that is asking, is this a Shaper item, it only considers the leftmost influence. That's my understanding. I haven't tested this extensively, and that's something that's a little bit problematic with things like dual influence headhunters and Eternity Shroud and things along those sorts of lines. I'm kind of curious as to whether this is a fix that now means that those rings, whatever your other ring is, if it's Shaper and Elder dual influenced, that it now passes both tests. It is now considered to be a Shaper item for purposes of things like Blasphemous Grasp. No, that's the one that requires Elder. Things like Eternity Shroud, and also an Elder influence item for things like Blasphemous Grasp. So I'll have to check into that a little bit. And there's the Blasphemous Grasp, which is the item that has benefits if your other items are Elder items. So there's a few items in that category. And it'd be interesting to see if we can now get, for instance, although I don't think there's any strategic reason to do this at the moment, it'd be interesting to see if you are using both Blasphemous Grasp and Eternity Shroud, whether a dual influence Shaper and Elder item now works for both of them. I believe at the moment it only works for the Eternity Shroud. Cirrus Awakener of Worlds now drops influenced items when killed. This is going to be interesting. This means that now there is a way to get item level 86 influenced items that's a bit more reliable than the current ways. So the current ways are either to use a Conqueror's Exalted Orb upon an item level 86 uninfluenced item, or alternately to use some of Cirrus's Watchstones that add 1 to the monster level of an area, and then just hope that you're running a tier 16 map that happens to be influenced and that it drops influenced items. They can stack up to 3 of those, and so that's where item level 88, say, influenced items come from. But it'll be interesting to see if this starts pumping a lot more things into the economy along those lines. So things like, for instance, a Redeemer-influenced Astral Plate, item level 86, that basically don't exist in the market at the moment unless someone has either successfully or unsuccessfully Redeemer slammed an already pretty good item level 86 Astral Plate. And then either they've hit something great and then they're selling it as a great item, or they missed entirely with the Redeemer Exalt and they're just trying to recover some of their cost base. So it'll be interesting to see more influenced items that are at the highest item level going into the economy. But this is actually a pretty significant change, I think, and something that will change the value of some items. Okay, so there's a bug fix on immunity to shock not working previously on the Desolation of the Awakener. So that's something that'll make Cirrus slightly easier. Now, there's visual indicators to maps in the map stash, which indicates if the Awakening objective has been completed. This is a huge quality of life improvement as well, something that will be great. And the next one is similar. It's a visual indicator to Watchstones and to including socketed ones, which indicates whether or not they've got a Sextant applied to them. Now here's an interesting one. Added some additional modifiers to the pool of mods that Awakened Sextants can apply. This isn't necessarily going to make Awakened Sextants better than they are at the moment, although I think it probably will. Additional mods may just make it so that you're less likely to get the current desirable ones without adding anything particularly desirable into the pool. But the last time that there were additional mods added to Sextants, they were initially extremely powerful. What I'm talking about here is when the possessed monsters drop an additional Scarab was originally added, and that's been nerfed twice since. It's no longer nearly as good as it was when it first hit. But even now, it's still pretty good. When it was first introduced, though, it didn't have any limits, so you could get an enormous amount of Scarabs with that. So it'll be interesting to see if any of the new Sextant modifiers are extremely powerful. Some of them may be powerful on their own, some of them may be powerful in conjunction with other things. Portals to maps which contain a Conqueror encounter now use Zana's portal effect. This will just be a nice improvement. So that means that when you're chasing down one of the citadels, those citadels, you won't have to use the default portal. It'll be something that looks cool. Fixed a bug where maps that had already spawned influence for a specific Conqueror had a lower chance to spawn influence than intended. This is interesting. I thought this was working as intended originally. I thought the idea was, let's say that you're running Basilica and you encounter Drox in there, and Drox comes and taunts you, and then you get taunted by Drox, you fight through the map, which has got more of Drox's minions in it as a result. I always thought that it was working as intended, that running more Basilicas back to back to back wouldn't actually help you find Drox quicker. So as I said, I thought it was intended. It turns out that it wasn't. And so the idea is that you just run any map in the inner zone, not specifically a range of them. And anyways, fixed a bug where Conqueror's Exalted Orbs didn't respect the can't roll caster mods and can't roll attack modifiers. This is going to be a huge change. This has already caused a bit of a price spike in Conqueror's Exalts. And it's these can't roll caster mods and attack modifiers things can be very significant when it comes to just trimming down the pool of what can roll. Especially if you've got an item that is very much an attack-based item, and then you're going to use, say, a Redeemer's Exalt on it, you really don't want to get a caster mod on there with the Redeemer slot. And now you're going to basically get a huge extra boost to the power of the Conqueror's Exalts. Experienced crafters, take note. This is going to be something for you to definitely play around with. Are you a bit more of a rookie with crafting? This probably won't affect you all that much, but it should mean that there'll be more very, very good items on the market for sale. Fix a bug where portals to the Conqueror encounters could spawn in inaccessible locations. That's just an essential bug fix, but a welcome one. I hadn't encountered that bug, but I believe that it's not super rare, and it's a real downer. Like, the Conqueror fights, if you fail a Conqueror fight, which happened to me very early in the league, it ends up being quite a while until you can spawn them again, especially if your character's weak. So having an encounter with a Conqueror that you fail, and it's not even your fault. See, I don't mind so much if you go in and you're fighting the Conqueror and you die 4 times and you died twice in the map before. At least you feel there that, oh well, that was my own fault, I played badly, I deserved that. But to have it happen because of RNG is really unfortunate. So glad that's fixed. Fix a bug where applying a Sextant to a watchstone socketed in a citadel could generate the same or a similar modifier which was already on another watchstone in that same citadel. This is interesting. So this appears to be a partial reintroduction of what was termed Sextant blocking. I'm not a fan of this change. The reason for that is that what you can do now, and I think this is going to be the optimal play, you pick an octant that you don't care much about, and you put 3 watchstones, or you put 3 watchstones in it that you try to deliberately roll the worst Sextant mods on. So things like slipstreams, things like unique bosses drop an additional unique item, are the really, really weak Sextants. And then you'll then say that you have a red, a yellow, and a blue watchstone socketed there. Then when you go to roll a green watchstone to actually play with, you're going to feel compelled to stick it in with the red, yellow, and blue garbage Sextants that you've already got. And it's more busy work. It's going to make it take longer to apply Sextants, but because it will get better results, you're going to feel compelled to do it. Not happy with this change. Would appreciate that one actually being reverted, because it's, yeah, Sextant blocking was removed for a reason. It wasn't fun. It was a pain in the ass, and it was also an additional needless layer of complexity. You want a situation where people feel, oh, great, I'm using Sextants. I just want to use them and go bang, 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 and maybe sometimes I'll get a bad one like slipstreams, but then I can just roll straight over it, rather than having a lot of fiddly work that you feel you need to do. Fix a bug where various modifiers on Precursors emblems were not affected by quality applied by catalysts. I haven't made a Precursors emblem this league, so I didn't know that was the case. It's really interesting how the Precursors emblem is such a powerful ring that so few people know about, and there's probably space for a whole video on what you can get with that. But if you're not familiar with it, it's basically a vendor reward that you get. So you vendor a bunch of unique items from delve bosses, and the more all items you have in it, the more potential it has to get very top tier charge related mods, but also there's a bunch of other complexities involved. It's a lot of fun, Precursors emblems, and you can make one that is not at the very top end surprisingly cheap. These are Metamorph Softcore trade enabled prices. If you wanted to make an endurance charge oriented Precursors emblem, you could vendor an Achilles Meadow, an Achilles Valley, and an Achilles Mountain all at once. So that's going to cost you 93 chaos if these prices are correct. And what you'll receive in exchange is a Precursors emblem where all 3 mods are endurance charge related. Now, endurance charges are far cheaper than the other 2. And if we have a look quickly at the Valley options, so Uzaza is, you'll see here that the Sapphire rings, which are the power charge themed ones, they are considerably more expensive. So you're looking 191C, 145, so it's looking at 340 chaos to get a pure Sapphire ring Precursors emblem. But one of the really interesting things that you can do here is you can mix and match them. So if you're playing a character that cares about both endurance charges and also about power charges, you could vendor an Uzaza's Meadow in conjunction with an Achilles. You could vendor an Achilles Valley, an Achilles Mountain, and an Uzaza's Meadow. Doing this will set you back only about 20 chaos or so, and will give you a ring that has 2 endurance charge modifiers and 1 power charge modifier. Because none of the rings are from all the Crystal King, all of the most expensive of the precursor emblem components only come from all the Crystal King. It won't have any of the top tier mods, but there's a lot of really strong ones that you can get this way. So yeah, Precursor's emblem is strong and can do a lot of cool things. Anyways, so it's going to be good to see that the various modifiers that weren't working with Catalyst now will. Fix a bug where various chaos resistance modifiers were not being increased by quality from prismatic catalysts. I didn't even know they were meant to be. I haven't really messed around with catalysts very much this league, actually. I should probably do that a bit more and learn all the intricacies of them. Fix various performance issues, great, and a visual bug. So there's actually a hell of a lot in this patch, and like I said, it should have been a 3.9.3. Very happy with the changes overall. As I said, I do think that the Sextant blocking one should probably be reverted because it just creates a situation where optimal play is to do a lot of things that are silly and not fun. It is a slight power upgrade for players because it means that you will need to use less Sextants in order to get good results, but this comes at the cost of Sextants being more fiddly and there being more to learn about Sextants before you can efficiently use them. However, overall, quite looking forward to this, and it really does feel like it's a major patch, not a minor one. If you got any comments or questions though, fire away below. Otherwise, I'll leave it there. I hope you have a good one.